Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube segment. I want to talk about this, being alone on Christmas and the holidays in general, and not just trying to stay positive and try not to be negative at this time, although it's very hard not to. This is another holiday in which there were no invites and no gifts. I haven't gotten anybody anything, nobody's gotten me anything, and it's hard to be festive when you're experiencing a situation like this, when you're feeling alone and desolate. But at the same time, I know I have to try to stay positive, to some degree. I mean, it's kind of hard every year. I have to keep dealing with the same thing, and one way to perceive it is that, maybe, nobody really thought I was worth spending the holidays with, but I understand, a lot of it falls on me, and it's attributed to me to some degree, not putting myself out there as much as I should. I can't be too, dependent or reliant on social media for things because, I could see as time has progressed, there's very few people that I meet on social media that are actually going to ever meet me in person. And, it's a lot of the connections tend to be superficial. I understand how that goes. We're not in the, back in, I can remember the 70s and 80s. I can, sit at a table with family, sometimes friends, and we would just enjoy really good times together, be more in-person communication. And, even if it wasn't a holiday, but I could, those days of me going, to a Christmas tree and unwrapping presents, and, those days, seem like they're pretty much dissipated. They've disintegrated at this point, and sometimes it's just about acceptance. It's like today I got up and, I was looking at, something on TikTok, and, somebody was complaining about, not having subtitles on the videos. It's a time of year. I understand, people want to, air their grievances and voice their complaints or whatever, but sometimes, especially at a time like this, when we're in the holidays, to try to be more positive about things. I mean, here I am. I don't have anybody, there is virtually nobody in my existence, Somebody I had been close with about a year ago, like around this time, that connection's pretty much dissipated, and I have to, come to terms, with that. And, if there's nothing you can do about a situation, then sometimes we just have to accept certain things. And, the thing I want to get at is that, sometimes we just have to, be appreciative of the gift of life. I look at this because I'm making sure I'm covering everything, because a lot of people don't even have like the bare necessities or essentials, subsistence and survival needs, and I guess I need to be grateful to the man upstairs, that I do have those things. And I mean, I may not have many friends, or my family is pretty much either evaporated, they've gone on to a different plane and left the mundane plane, so to speak, or they just are completely apathetic and disinterested. That's another thing that I've had to come to terms with. I think what happens is in today's day and age, we're in this internet area. We got so many people dominated by their own life, their own interests, and then they just kind of become oblivious to other people, and including their family members. Now you have other people that are just, what they do is they spend, their holidays with the family they have, and they may forget pretty much about everybody else and forget about the people that show kindness to them and express benevolence, And I look around and, I think about all this time that, I've helped people out and given free insight, into astrology charts, and I look around and there's, still nobody in my life. I mean, it's kind of befuddling, it's really mind-boggling. I try to tell people, and this is what I want to get at, is that being a kind and benevolent person, we know it doesn't guarantee anything in life. Not on this mundane plane. I'm at a lower level income. I have hardly anybody in my life at this point in time. I may never will. And I got my reward is getting to spend, Christmas and most holidays alone. No real invites. People will tell me, well, Edwin, I live, kind of at a distance from him in another state, and I understand that could be seen as legitimate, but you could still give the invite and still say, hey, Eddie, would you like to come out? At least have the thought in action. And just because I'm in another state doesn't necessarily mean I can't come out. If I know in advance, I can get a cheap flight and get out there. I think what it is I think a lot of people are just apprehensive and fearful. They don't know somebody, that well. They just know him or her through the internet, and that causes fear, and I have to accept that. And, another thing, too, is I'll see people sometimes say, well, gee, I see people less deserving than me having things in life better, they have a better life than me. And I go through that all the time. I notice that constantly. It gets very, exasperating, very frustrating. But, that is life, and I tell people, even, you do good work, you show goodwill and philanthropy toward others. It doesn't mean everything's going to be, fine and dandy in your life. Sometimes the people that are very giving wind up being hurt the most. And they don't even really get anything hardly in their life. And I could be a living example of that. I could be set as an example to show others that just being a kind person doesn't mean you're going to have any kind of much riches in this lifetime. Not on our mundane plane anyway. And it would have been nice to have at least one person to have spent the Christmas with, but some things are just not meant to be, and it's a combination of factors. I know, again, it is tied in, to me to some degree by not putting myself out there, not expanding upon my connections. But I have been on the internet for some time. I have been doing, had the YouTube astrology channel going on over 12 years. And the fact that, I hardly have anybody that I've even met in person. You'll see a lot of, these other YouTube astrologers, they seem to just kind of get the people to want to be around them in person. And for whatever reason, people have kind of, they've kept their distance in a way. And I think some of it may be attributed to the fact I don't have the comments enabled on my channel. Maybe people are disenchanted by that. I do understand that, but I don't put, part of the reason I don't put the comments on the channel is because the backlash I get when I put them on. I remember it was about 3 months ago. Some of you may remember I did like a little tribute to my fans out there, and also being celebratory regarding my 12-year anniversary of my YouTube astrology channel. And what happened was, almost like right off the bat, I think there were like 2 disparaging comments and telling me, I need to put keywords or something in the videos and have more of a description. Well, I didn't. Part of the reason I've stopped, doing that and really doing much on the videos is the lack of viewership on it, and I don't really see the point in going all out on them, when people aren't really viewing them that much anymore. So, and you could understand why I've had the comments disabled. People still ask me about that. I have video. I have a number of videos that explain why I don't have the comments enabled. All they got to do is search my channel and look in the search box, and they can find it. But I do understand it's still a fair question. Now, another thing. I want to go back. We're going to be kind and rewind and go back to, people, less deserving, have more than us. Part of it is because, like in my case, I would consider myself, very authentic, very real person, right? And what you see is basically what you get. There's hardly any, deviation from my personality. Anybody that's few people that are willing to actually take the time to get to know me. There's not a lot of fluctuation in me. I can't put on, like a phony charm or anything and be all complimentary and try to entice people to like me more. I mean, I just like to be me. And, unfortunately, that's not enough for some people, I guess. The fact that I'm older now, 54 years old, probably is not helping matters. And I do understand that, but, and people have to understand life is never going to be fair. It never will be. I am living proof of it. I know in my heart I deserve to have somebody today. That is not being arrogant or conceited. That is just being factual. Edwin Learnard deserved to have somebody in his life today. And to say that didn't hurt at all, I'd be lying completely. When I would flunk the lie detector test over and over again, because I understand, that when you know something is not right in your heart, and it can hurt. That those things do hit home, but you still have, unfortunately, what we have to carry on. And I know some of you out there's other people out there that know about this as well. That experience, being alone and desolate. And it does hurt when I see other people, the con artists, the people that put on the pretenses, the fake phony charm, the fake smile, just to get people to cajole others to get them into their life. And they wind up having these people and being able to spend, the time, with them. And here I am. I felt condemned at times just for being me, just for being myself. And that shouldn't be that way. But, unfortunately, again, it goes to life not being fair. And, some things I've had to accept whether I like it or not. You would think I would have gotten, one invite. I mean, this goes on for me like year after year, and it just, to me, something is not right, in this. And we're just in a life, I guess, in society where things a lot of times just don't make any sense whatsoever. And another thing, too, is that what we have to keep in mind, people, is that, being we could all be critical. I've had people, criticize me for the volume on my videos, or for not having comments enabled and this and that. There's some people out there that will be so critical, they'll criticize, that cursor on Windows for not being symmetrical, or criticize the aspect ratio of a tire on a free car they got. I mean, there's some things, we can, legitimately, air our grievances about it. It's something very important. And I understand that, but other times, it's just not even worth doing it, making somebody feel worse about themselves than they already are. And I'm already kind of going through a downer. There's not a lot for me, overabundance of things for me to be happy about. And I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I'm in a situation now, I'm currently at an Airbnb right now, right? And it's humbling because, there's most people my age, they have their own home. They may have a family as well, have a significant other. They got the whole kit and caboodle. And I've been relegated, to a life. A lot of it is attributed, as some of you may know, I have irrevocable nerve damage, to my arms. There's a lot of things physically I can't do anymore. And I can't, it's hard to make any headway because of it. So I've been, on a very limited income for many years. The last 19 years, roughly, have been such where I've been at a lower level income. And, and I'm still trying to figure out or try to formulate, some plan, how to extricate myself from this situation. A friend of mine told me, one day, it was interesting. He said, well, Eddie, I know somebody, I have a family member that I help out because he's in a similar situation to you. That's all fine and everything. I mean, good. I mean, if you're able to do that for somebody. But, I don't have that situation. I don't have, there's no backup battery. I'm in this, my best friends at this point are Ed, and Eddie, and that is really what it comes down to. And I've had to deal with the harsh reality of that. Another thing too, it's kind of like, I wanted to use this analogy before I forget it. The people that want to, complain and, talk about, my comments not being enabled, modular adjustment, or I'm talking too slowly. The thing is, it's kind of like if your dryer is not running properly, right? And you overload, the dryer with wet, like really drenched clothes, it'll make it harder on the motor. And, it's going to make it work even harder. And if the dryer's not already running good, why are you going to add insult to abject misery? And unfortunately, that's what people, have done to me. And, I'm lucky that I'm a strong enough person and I'm still able to, subsist, survive, and carry on. A lot of people not, don't do that. They let their appearance go to pieces. They just fall apart. And I guess I have to be grateful to the grace of God that I've kept myself together, throughout whatever adversity I faced. I mean, I've been in a very, as far as a home situation, one that's been very mercurial, so to speak. Some of you may know I have my moon in Gemini. That doesn't help, matters, I guess, as far as that goes. And recently I even put up I had a fundraiser. And I would think, given the fact that we're in the holiday times, I understand people have contributed immensely to a lot of the other fundraisers I have. I'm very grateful for that. But I also, I put up a fundraiser like about 6 days ago or something. I forgot exactly. And it was to help me rebuild. I did wind up moving again. And somebody had accused me of being I'm in the same location, but I'm just in a different room, and saying I'm a fraud or I'm a scam. And this is no, scam. There's no scam if the funds are going legitimately toward what you're stating they're going to, which is my case. I am in a different location. I wouldn't have gone to the trouble to just go to a different room and try to make people think I'm in a different location. I moved out of state. I'm in Colorado right now, and say to Denver, Colorado. That was the sign that was already here in the Airbnb room that I'm currently residing in, and before I was in Nevada. So that's it really it hurts when people have to cry fraud or scam. And I think sometimes people just do that because they just feel like being derogatory and they just want to be negative. And they have nothing else to do than hurt on other people, basically. Because sometimes I think it's just a reflection, of their own inadequacies in their life and their unhappiness with themselves. So they hate on a person. Some people will just choose me to hate on for whatever reasons. And the thing too is, and the person had also stated, regarding this, accusation, and I'm running, fraud or scam or whatever, that was like my main business or something. Well, people got to remember too that the astrology, hardly anybody even comes to me and inquires about astrology chart reading anymore. So, I wouldn't. Part of it is I wouldn't have had to emphasize the fundraisers as much if I was actually getting, the business, the chart work generated, and that's and that does play a role in that to some degree. And people have become very apathetic and showed lack of interest, and not they just for whatever reason. People don't want to be bothered. Maybe it's because we're in the holiday season. You think people would express